For centuries, China stood as the Middle Kingdom, proud, ancient, and powerful. But then came humiliation. Foreign powers carved up its lands, its people suffered famine and chaos. And yet, from the ashes of history, a sleeping dragon awoke. This is not just the story of a nation, it is the story of rebirth. This is the rise of China. The 19th century was a time of disaster for China. Once the greatest empire in Asia, ruled by emperors of silk and jade, it suddenly found itself shattered. Western powers, Britain, France, Japan forced their way into Chinese ports. The Opium Wars broke the empire's spirit. Treaty after treaty drained its pride. The great Qing dynasty, once master of a vast realm, collapsed under corruption and foreign influence. For nearly 100 years, China became a shadow of itself, a land divided, weak, and forgotten. But every empire that falls dreams of rising again. In 1911, revolution swept the land. The last emperor, a child named Puyi, was overthrown. Dr. Sun Yat-sen declared a new republic. But unity was fragile, and warlords tore the country apart. Foreign powers still ruled the trade, and Japan invaded from the east. Villages burned, millions died, and China faced one of the darkest chapters in its history. Yet in that darkness, a new force was born. A movement of peasants, workers, and soldiers, promising equality, land, and hope, the Communist Revolution. In 1934, pursued by enemy armies, a young revolutionary army began a journey across mountains, rivers, and snow, over 6,000 miles on foot. This was the Long March. At its head was a man who would change China forever, Mao Zedong. Out of 100,000 men, only a few thousand survived. But those who did carried with them, not just weapons, but a dream. A dream of a new China, united, powerful, and free from humiliation. October 1st, 1949. From Tiananmen Gate, Mao Zedong declared to the world, "The Chinese people have stood up," and with those words, the People's Republic of China was born. But the dream was far from easy. Years of war had left the country broken. Industry was primitive, fields were empty, and millions still lived in poverty. China had to rebuild from nothing. In the 1950s and 60s, Mao launched massive campaigns to modernize China, but many ended in tragedy. The Great Leap Forward tried to turn farmers into steelworkers, but famine followed. The Cultural Revolution tried to reshape society, but tore families apart. The nation was restless, exhausted, yet unbroken. Even through chaos, one belief survived, that China's destiny was not to remain weak forever. Then came Xi Jinping, a quiet man with steel in his eyes. Deng believed that China could rise not through revolution, but through reform, open the doors to the world. Factories began to hum, ports reopened, and cities started to glow with new light. The old communist slogans gave way to a new philosophy. It doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice. The message was clear. China would no longer close itself off. It would compete, and it would win. From the 1980s onward, the world watched in astonishment. Shenzhen, once a fishing village, became a megacity of skyscrapers. Shanghai rose into the clouds. Hundreds of millions were lifted out of poverty, an achievement unmatched in human history. New roads, trains, and high-speed rail stretched across the nation. China became the world's factory, producing phones, cars, and dreams. But it wasn't just about trade. China began to reclaim its place in the world, building universities, exploring space, and investing in global influence. Now, in the 21st century, China has launched one of the most ambitious projects ever conceived, the Belt and Road Initiative. Ports in Africa, railways in Europe, and highways through Asia create a new network linking the world under Chinese leadership. Just as the Silk Road once carried silk and tea, now it carries power, technology, and influence. But with power comes rivalry. The United States, once unchallenged, now faces a new contender. In Washington and Beijing, the tension grows. Trade wars, technology bans, competing visions for the world's future. To the West, China's rise feels like a challenge. To China, it is justice long delayed. A nation once humiliated by foreign powers now stands shoulder to shoulder with them. Aircraft carriers patrol the seas. Satellites orbit above. The stage is set not for conquest, but for competition. And the question the world now asks is simple. Can the dragon rise without breathing fire? Today, the skyline of Beijing glows brighter than ever. Bullet trains glide across the land at 350 kilometers per hour. Children study in schools built on what were once battlefields. From poverty to power, from chaos to control, China's story is one of resilience, proof that nations, like people, can rebuild their destiny. But every rise comes with a choice. Will China's dream become the world's hope, or its greatest fear? Only time will tell. From the ancient emperors to the modern skyscrapers, the story of China is not one of conquest, but of survival. Civilization that has endured floods, wars, invasions, and revolutions, and yet stands unbroken. The dragon has awakened, and the world is watching. If you found this journey through history inspiring, remember to like this video and subscribe for more epic history stories. Ring the bell so you never miss a new upload. And comment below. Do you think China's rise will bring peace or power? This was the rise of China, where history meets destiny.